With Melbourne in the grips of an increasingly restrictive lockdown, Damian Callinan has had to repeatedly revise down his plans for his APAX segment. The only option open to him legally was to interview himself at home, and he's been kind enough to join us today. Hi, Damian. Hey, Damo. Do you mind if I call you Damo? Knock yourself out. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. I think you'd be right to take the mask off. Yeah, we tested negative. Oh. Hey, have you got a bigger seat or no? So, Damo, you've had a big couple of years with the hugely successful film adaptation of your one-man show, The Merger. 2 actor nominations, shortlist for Cinefest Oz Prize, Best Film and Screenplay, the Australian Independent Film Awards, Gala Centrepiece at MIF, touring feature for Dublin and Glasgow Film Festivals, UK and US distribution. You really have been milking the shit out of it. Your thanks, Damo. What? So, how has the pandemic impacted on your touring plans? Oh, well, I was supposed to be premiering my new biographical show Stress Test at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, but it got cancelled. I was to be doing a Regional Arts Victoria produced tour of the live version of The Merger, and I was also going to be touring Kieran Carroll's Nuke, in which I played a titular role, but all of those have been postponed to 2021. All right, mate. We've all had stuff not happen. Not all about you. You asked me. Well, with a view to the changed landscape, how are you altering your touring plans? Well, I had been planning with Peter Spelling-Brown from Hey Boss to do a remount nationally of my new play, The Hall Committee. The Hall Committee was commissioned by Walker Civic Theatre and Create New South Wales, and last year's premiere season of The Halls of the Riverina sold out before we even opened. I'm sorry, I think there might be smoke coming out of your eyes. Anyway, we decided under the circumstances, 5-actor play, jam-packed country halls, might have been too much of a risk, so we've put off plans to tour it until 2023. So what can presenters do if they want to be kept informed about Hall Committee touring plans? Yeah, people can contact Peter Spelling-Brown at Hey Boss. Right, well, that's all we have time for, so... Whoa, we haven't even talked about Mayor for a Day. It's the show I'm actually here to pitch. Well, it's not my fault you spent 3 minutes of a 5-minute pitch talking about what you're not doing. All right then, tell us about Mayor for a Day. Well, those of you who know my vast catalogue of work, oh Jesus, would know that I like to tap into the community. In fact, in my show Road Trip, and more recently in Town Folk, I created an entire show based on that community with the help of a filmmaker. Anyway, just prior to lockdown, I was asked to tour the northwest of New South Wales on a drought relief performance tour. And I knew from previous experience when I was asked to tour the Murrindindi Shire in the wake of the Black Saturday bushfires that the shows worked so much better if I made the show about them and addressed the sooty elephant in the corner, so to speak. Anyway, I took that same attitude to the drought relief tour, and with years of honing my tailoring skills, the Mayor for a Day show was born. And I think of all of my community engagement shows, this has easily had the highest hit rate. So how do you make the show about them? Well, the first thing I do is I research the town remotely, and then I make sure that I've got a local contact, someone that I can just call to drill down on local issues, fact check, find out about local history, that kind of stuff. Then in advance, I book myself into local attractions, things like the local day spa, the 24-hour CWA gym, the Modern Art Museum. So what does a typical Mayor for a Day show look like? Yeah, well, after the initial audience banter and the mayoral swearing-in ceremony, I take the audience through a slideshow of my experiences in the town, where I might point out things like whether they've noticed the positioning of the World War One memorial cannon, keeping the postie honest, the council's radical rationalisation of infrastructure and the need for a public toilet upgrade. Might even point out some local natural attractions that they may have missed. It's also good to show them that I have been supporting local businesses, and also to point out how well I've been looked after with my dressing room and my accommodation. So it's essentially just a slide note. No, look, the slideshow is a hit for sure, but it's really just the entree. Now, depending on what we find in the town, the show might feature things like 2 local legends going head to head in a quiz on local knowledge, live on-stage recreations of historical photos, and audience members are invited on stage for the 30-second soapbox. The show's rounded out then with heartwarming and hilarious stories from my hall touring and research, and you might even get a visit from my alter ego country footy coach Troy Carrington. Basically, I spent a day and a bit cramming as much experience and information as I can, right down to the wire. Then I bang on my robe, go on stage and wave my mayoral wand over the audience. What? Like a wizard? Look, the reason that Peter and I decided to switch focus and concentrate on Mayor for a day is that with a tour party of 2, it's going to be a lot more flexible and agile with whatever is to come over the next 1 to 2 years. The show's a lot more flexible as far as where it can play. It can play, keeping in mind that there is projection, it can play theatres, foyers, courtyards, halls, parks. Given the tailored nature of the show, we will be limited to only be able to pull off 3 shows in any given week. And will you take requests for one-night stands? Absolutely. Look, I love doing this show. On the recent drought relief tour of New South Wales, I was performing in venues and to audiences that rarely, if ever, get to see shows. The last show that played the Bonshaw Memorial Hall before me was Eddie Charlton doing a snooker demonstration in 1982. At the end of the night, the room feels transformed. Not only have they been entertained, but they've had their world played back to them. I recently got an email from a guy in Warialda in New South Wales who said to me, because of the lockdown, that was the last night he and his wife had gone out. And it had reminded them that night how important community and how important the arts were. And as we move forward, those kind of nights are going to be even more important. Well, it's all very well you banging on about how great you are, but are there any presenters that you've paid off to endorse your community work? Yeah, you could try talking to Rob Robson at the West Gippsland Arts Centre, or Ken Cameron at Riverlinks in the city of Greater Shepparton. Or Sandy McNaughton. She used to run the Roxy Theatre in Binga, and she produced the recent drought relief tour. Yeah, right, hey, that's enough. Well, any final words? No? Thank God for that. All right, well, we might just finish off with a montage of you acting like a dickhead in country towns.